to be kidding me. All of that information with no sound. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Gotta start all over again. So I might have to trim this video up. Let's see if I can capture all that. So I was saying the spice. Can you hear me now? Let me know if you can hear now. The spice that you know what? I know what I didn't do. This is me. Ooh, chap. I didn't even turn it on. That's why. That would be me. I'm so detail oriented. Can you hear? There we go. Now, can you still hear me? Can you hear me clearly? This is Miss Cross and I turning stuff on. Can you hear me clearly? Let me know if you can hear me clearly before I go into that whole spiel again, because that was a lot of information. And I like to communicate when I'm in the mood and I'm in the spirit. You know, so let me know if you can hear. Yes, okay. Hey, Cassandra, how are you? Oh my gosh, let me see if I can give you all of that again. Okay, so today what I wanted to share was, are we using all of the produce that we're spending our money on? So quite often we can be very inspired initially, and then wind up at the end of a week having a whole lot of produce in a kind of rotting composting pool in the bottom of the refrigerator, all over the refrigerator. So I was just touching on quickly some sugar cane that we planted, that we got a little piece, a little sproutling from a neighbor, and then my sister just cut off several stalks. So that's really nice to have your own sugar cane. So this will have to be trimmed off. Anytime you find discoloration, just like I've shown you with the coconut, when you find purple and red, that's bacteria, so you want to cut that off. Anywhere that travels into the sugar cane is no bueno. So you're gonna, hey sis, so you're gonna have to cut that off. So that's the sugar cane. Then the cauliflower, I was explaining before, right? Because the cruciferous vegetables have a lot of texture. They're more leathery, they're tougher. And this is where usually people will steam it or overcook it, or think the only way that you can have it is in a stir fry. So I'm having the foods all living. That's how I prefer them. So that means no, I'm not putting any heat, you know, on them. From time to time when I use things in a dryer, you want to keep the temperature, you want to keep the dryer or AKA dehydrated at a certain temperature, so you're not killing the enzymes in the food, right? That's what's beautifying inside of the food. So cauliflower is one of those things we'll have a tendency to let go rotten. Let me see if I can find a piece for you. I don't know if you can see, but there's a little teeny dark spot, black spot on it. So sometimes it can be a lot worse, but you want to take your paring knife and you trim the little afro. You just trim those pieces off and you can still use it. And you also want to check around the base of the cauliflower to make sure that it's not rotting. And so there's so many different things you can do with the cauliflower. I used to make what I used to call cauliflower popcorn. So you can take, because of the shape of the cauliflower, you can break these off into little smaller florets, like the little afros, and you can season them with turmeric and curry, a little bit of sea salt and spices. I have a tendency to not like to use a whole lot of oil, but that's one of the things you can do, because sometimes it's the snacky snacks, right, that be throwing people off. So you can do that. You can do different kinds of marinades with cauliflower. I think one of the keys to really enjoying lots of vegetables is chopping things really, really small, so you have a more pleasant mouthful feel in your mouth. So you're not eating something where one vegetable is this size and one thing is this size in your mouth. That's like, it's not enjoyable. So it's like those little details, right? And some of this might seem overwhelming, but I invite you to just look at the time that you spend in the food prep area as quality time with yourself, actually as a meditation. So I think my thing is going to die. And then also pieces of onion. These are sometimes people can, I know my sister will have a million little chopped off pieces of onion. I'm about to make some wraps. So this is something I can use the base of these onions that's left over. And if you have a Vitamix, you can mix that in to give like a really nice oniony flavor. And then if you're drying things, it can make things, you get that caramelized flavor. Sometimes it's the flavor of those things that folks are missing. And I also can do so much with a tomato. So I have this thing about the ways of the grandmothers. I like to take one ingredient and do numerous things with it. So I can dry these. I can scoop out the seeds out of the tomato and cut them up into little chunks. Oh, hold on. There's Miss Sistren. Child, I sharing with the folks live. That Miss Sistren coming in. So the tomatoes, bananas, plantains, before these things, sometimes they might be a little bit bruised, but you can smell them to make sure that they're not fermented. Fermented is no bueno, right? Fermented bananas, fermented plantains, those things, when they become like overripe, they can cause feed yeast inside the system, and they can cause a lot of bloating, especially if you're eating more live foods. And that will upset people because then that will look just like fat. Water retention and bloat can look just like fat on your midsection. It's usually like a combination of those things that are going on. So watch it. I used to think many years ago, the food combination was like, it was hokey. It's actually not. There is actually relevance to combining your food properly so that you don't waste all of that good stuff, all that food preparation and all those healthy nutrients, that they don't go to waste because everything just fermented in your system. Or those rare times, like if you get what I call a sour stomach, where it feels like you're belching stinky gas, that's showing that you have poor food combinations. So living foods can really help slow you down in your tracks, to help you be much more mindful of not just, having all this pretty, beautiful food, but eating it in ways that are enjoyable, and noticing, I say a big noticing of how your body's reacting to the food. You want the enjoyment, but you also want to notice, when have you had enough, right? So you're starting to turn in and pay more attention. So I'm going to do a lot with the onions. I'm using this in several things. I'm going to really spice this up. I'm using an Indian spice right now called ajwain. Let me see if I can show you the ajwain. And then I also just made a really nice, a really beautiful chai. Let's see, I got a whole bunch of spices. Let's see, I got cumin, caraway. Oh, here's the ajwain. Oh, I ground this one up already. I was going to show you the seeds, but I like to grind all my spices fresh. Oh, this is so good. So let's see if I can find some of the seeds here so you can still see it. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that. I'm big into, I'm smelling food all the time because the food has perfume in it. So ajwain, it's not like a cumin or a coriander, but it's like when you taste it, it's like, wow, it's a distinct taste in Indian food. You may not pick up on what that particular spice is because there's so many spices. That's why I love going to little India, little Korea. I'll go anywhere. I'll go anywhere to the end of the earth for a spice. So I'm going to be using ajwain in my marinade for this. And also, it also gives a nice crunchy texture, and it gives like a really nice Indian. I don't know if any of y'all like Indian food. What you're saying? I'm trying to work on food combination because you do have stomach issues. I'm here in CT freezing, but I'm trying to get fresh organic food. So get whatever you can. I recommend that you start with your favorite foods. If that's corn on the cob, if that's broccoli, if that's spinach, start there perhaps, right? And again, this is where folks ask me for recipes. But sometimes if you take, again, try it out. I go with the ways of the grandmothers. That's what I call it. See how many recipes and how many things you can create out of the one ingredient. Like I can do so many different things with spinach. I could do so many different things with an onion. I could do so many different things with a carrot, right? Which also will make your food costs go down. Hey, greetings, Fabric of a Woman. I sent you a message. If you still weren't able to download, please send me your contact information and I can walk you through the process. So part of what I'm doing is, one, some simple things is cutting the fruits and vegetables, especially when it comes to vegetables, right? Fruit is easy. It's sweet. We all have a sweet tooth. But the vegetables, preparing the vegetables, I really think, and I'm speaking from experience as someone that was a junk food junkie, being creative with the vegetables, finding ways to prepare the produce in different ways that are creative so you stay excited, and then also extending the life of your produce. Do go back and check out that video on this channel, Extend the Life of Your Produce, and see if you can get green bags. I know from the food co-op we used to shop at, I can get them for like $1. And I just got rid of my last one I've had for years. And get the large one, don't get the small one, because you can fit a whole big, huge thing of kale or greens from the farmer's market inside of those green bags. These are things that will drive your food bill down, and then you'll have more to be creative with. You can even take the stems sometimes and put the stems inside of your juices, like the stems from the greens or stems from the broccoli. When I used to do stir fries, I would take a peeler and peel the outside of the broccoli stalk, and then you have the tender inside, and that could go in a stir fry if you're stir frying, or if you're doing all living foods. The key is to cut things up nice and pretty and small. So that means you need a nice sharp knife. That's an indispensable tool. So I got a whole thing, and maybe we'll do something. Let me know if you want to see a video on honing and sharpening your knife. But using those greens up and the cauliflower and the cruciferous vegetables, these are they really fortify your body against cancer, right? These really nourish the body. So cutting these things up small, the kale, the collards, the cruciferous vegetables, is going to make a big difference in how the flavors are able to marinate and also how you're able to chew it. And once it sits in your stomach, digestion. I can definitely tell you these things do not combine well with a bunch of sugar, right? And I've had several people tell me over the years, every time I eat broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables, I get a lot of gas. Now, that can be several things. That can be um, one, this food, especially if it's living, when you eat lots more produce, it's going to start breaking up the junk that's already in your system, right? It will start working with your body to push stuff out. So that's one. Number two, your food combinations. This is not combined well with, let me just throw or organic peanut butter cookie on top of it. That's not going to combine well, right? And then also, if you have this living, this is really going to push stuff out because foods are actually potent natural chemicals. So the food combinations do make a difference. I would say it's much more easy. It's a lot easier for me to do food combinations. Many years ago, several decades ago, it was very confusing to me. But it doesn't have to be, because one easy way to get started in terms of thinking of food combination is I would not eat this with oranges or grapefruits, right? So the taste can also be a clue to how we're combining the food. Most vegetables will go together. And then although we have this as a vegetable, this is technically a fruit, as well as the cucumber and zucchini. They're non-sweet fruits, right? Because they have a seed, in them. So just gonna touch on a couple of other things, because I can stay here with y'all jamming all day. So the aloe, I have my cycle cell. I have that rare blemish, and I used to have a lot of acne. So usually around my cycle, or if I haven't soaked and sprouted nuts, if I don't get enough sleep, from time to time I will still get a blemish. So I have one right here. So imagine having 100 of these on my face with no bueno. And I was a person that back in the day, even when I was all natural, I hated acne so much I used to use Proactive. Now I just put food on my face, literally. Excuse me, I have put food on my face. So my grandma would say, take a piece of the aloe off like so, cut a piece like so, and then I trim the edges. I trim the edges off of the aloe, and I'm using this also on my hair too, but I trim off a nice piece. And then I cut it in half after I cut off the spiky ridges, and I eat the inside, and then I'll put the rest of it on my face, or I'll take the whole leaf and I'll put it into my hair. Now, I have very, very fine, delicate hair. Everything gets caught in my hair, and I was really concerned. I've seen other Rastas and stuff do it, and I was skeptic. So I'll take the aloe, and I got use 100 things with one piece of produce, right? So I make an aloe juice, an aloe gel. There's another video on this channel where I do a cucumber, thyme, and aloe, like a spritz moisturizer for the hair, which I think is a lot less expensive than buying rose water. But I did get a rose, so I can start growing my own roses to make rose water. But I'll take one thing and do a lot of different things with it. So that's what I'm using on my face. That's what I'm eating. That's what I'm putting inside of my hair. And then I can compost the rest of it. So the spice that I'm using today for the chai, which my sister really, really liked, and I'll take and reinvent this one recipe several different times. This is so delicious. So this is cardamom. If anyone out there likes chai, I love chai. And the tea bags taste totally different than if you have the whole fresh ground spices. So I wish you could smell this. Now, for many years, over 10 years, I stopped drinking any kind of hot teas. I am an avid experimenter, so my environment changed. This year, I'm starting to add back in some warm and some hot teas, but I don't like to boil things down like ginger. Don't want to do that. I want the living medicine in it. So I may blend my ginger or heat water and then put blended fresh ginger into it. And that's actually what I use if I feel like I'm getting a scratchy throat. Like right now, this rainy season, it's chilly here. We call this a little bit of Belizean winter. So my main go-to really is like ginger and then some garlic, and then it's chai spice. So I have actual black peppercorns, cardamom, nutmeg, cinnamon. There's a green cardamom and a black cardamom. Nutmeg, cinnamon, cardamom. What am I missing? If you have vanilla bean, you can put a little touch of vanilla bean. Oh my gosh, this is so potent. So I had stopped for a while, and initially, when I was doing living foods, I would use just the hot peppers to keep my system nice and hot, because I'm very, very sensitive to the cold. Anything under 70 degrees, I'm cold. So warm teas can be something that are really calming, where you don't have to keep stuffing yourself full of nuts and heavy raw cookies and all of those things. Because many people, let's face it, really come to living foods to for, I would say, for beauty and vitality and for health. So we can balance that out with the enjoyment. But I invite you to try chais. Let me know if you want me to make a video. I got a list of videos people have been requesting to grind the fresh spices with you, and you to make your own blend. Because I'm telling you, the taste enjoyment is like, it's night and day when you're doing things fresh. And you can make a nice little container. I'm big on storage containers. You make a nice little container, then you have your own. Once you get used to that, you will not want to go back, because it's like a whole new world of like a flavor. Plus, you get all the medicinal value of those natural perfumes and the properties inside of the fresh herbs. When I used to frequent Little India in Jackson Heights in Queens, I would notice that my Indian folks, my Indian brethren, right, East Indian, and the sisters would have the saris on with their stomachs out, and sometimes would have shoes on with no socks on in the winter. And I would know, and I also would frequent Chinatown. And I noticed that those folks, their noses were not running. Like, I would be amazed, especially in Little India. I was like, I don't understand how their feet could be bare. I feel like I would die if I was exposed to cold like that. But it's the spices. When I would go to the Indian restaurants, they pop onions and these killer hot chilies like they're popcorn. They're just sitting there eating them like they're popcorn. Between that and they eat turmeric on a regular, and right, consistent with the ways of the grandmothers, turmeric, as I'm studying some Ayurveda right now, is used all over in different types of beauty concoctions for the hair and also the skin. And also, some of you may know, is very anti-inflammatory. So imagine if you're using the fresh turmeric, and turmeric is easy to grow. If you buy some fresh turmeric, which looks like a yellow piece of fresh ginger, it's not hard to grow. So I've grown some out in the yard. I've actually grown some fresh ginger, which is like super exciting. So you see where I'm going with this? You can have so much fun with this as a lifestyle. It is so exciting. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. So let me know if you want to see a video about how to grind your fresh chai. And again, I'm not using the white packets of stevia. Most often, it's rare that I will use stevia. But from time to time, I want to keep things also exciting for the people, in my family. Because, it's like, you got children, you got other people. They want a sweet cup of tea. I'm the one that's the scientist. Like, I don't want my family all tripped out on sugar. So I will experiment with things. And the stevia leaf, particularly if you put it in something like a chai, like some of the stevia extracts, they can be kind of pricey, and they can also have a bitter aftertaste. But I found that it combines really, really nice and just adds a little hint of sweetness that makes the chai even more enjoyable. And I also make homemade coconut milk, which is the bomb, which you can mix this with. And I got several different concoctions that I'll mix this with to reinvent things. So I don't want to hold you folks all day. What else is over here? I got tea I made from this morning. I've got soaked dark brown chana chickpeas, sesame seeds, lentils, and golden flax seeds. So these are things that I have sprouting. So most of us are used to the white chickpeas, but not really. I don't want to drip this on the computer, but not really the little brown. I don't know if you can see those brown chickpeas, right? These are actually chana or chickpeas. So again, I'm very sensitive to snacky snacks, right? So that for you, especially if you're transitioning and when folks are really having a challenging time transitioning, those little snacky snacks that are not so full of oil, fat can make a big difference in terms of like the party in your mouth. We have something that's usually crunchy and spicy without weighing you down with all the fat. Plus, too much nuts can drive your bill up. So your food bill. So you want to know how to stretch those things out. So These are the small dark brown chana, and I just put these to soak last night. And these will really expand. So make sure when you're soaking certain things, you don't put it all the way up to the top because they expand and they'll spill out of the top. If your food prep area, your kitchen is really hot, you want to be very mindful of things spoiling and going bad when you soak them. So it seems like a lot, but it's just retraining yourself. This is no different than people when you learn how to make your different animal foods and your chicken and your fish and your grandma. If somebody showed you how to store it, how to prepare it, this is just reorienting yourself so you can relax, put some Bob Marley on, which I was just doing, and just have some good quality time with yourself. So with that being said, if you got some value out of the video, I'd love to hear feedback from you. Please leave comments and leave some information, feedback in the comments below. And I'll keep sharing with you the different types of things I'm eating. I'm working on what is the best way to approach folks with recipes, because I have found over time that the mindset shift is the most important, like those little things to help you drive down a food bill and to help you reinvent recipes with a few